Well, hello there. This is Dr. Dell or Craig Hain, and I want to talk to you today about this book, The Golden Rule Math for Successful Math Students. And we just got this book in. It's the third book in our series, and I want to tell you about it. And I think that you'll really enjoy it, particularly if you have a successful math student. And so in order to get on with that, I want to share the screen with you. And if you go to goldenrulemath.com, our homepage for Golden Rule Math, then you'll come down here and there are several books that we now have available to you. And you may or may not have read some of the others. The most generic one is 21st Century Math Students, Golden Rule Math for them. And then we had one for struggling math students that you may or may not have read if you have a struggling math student. But what if you have a successful math student? What about that? What should you continue doing? And so on. And that's what this book is all about, because obviously you want to have that student to go on and be successful. So if you click on that link, that will take you then to the successful book, student book, Golden Rule Math for Successful Students. As always, there's the various reasons why these are the things that every parent should know. You can buy it on Amazon for $4.99. It says coming soon, but it's here now. Or you can get Kindle on Amazon for 99 cents. And you can also download a free copy of it, which I think is very important. And then you can also watch the video that, in fact, I'm doing right now. And if you download your free copy of it, what you'll get then is this. And this is what I want to do to explain to you what is in this book. Now, if you've read one of the other books, then you already know a lot of what's in this book, because I have all four books have a lot of commonality to them. And what I want to do with this one is, for the successful students, is I want to discuss the table of contents and what you're going to get in it. Now, I start out and I tell, as always, a typical homeschool story of a student that was successful. But the big question I get asked a lot of times is, what does success really mean for math? And so chapter 1 addresses that very issue. What does it mean to be successful in math? What's the definition of that? And it may surprise you, it may not. Certainly in typical schools, in classes, success is defined to be getting a good grade. And well, that's not how I define it. I don't think that's how it should be defined. As a matter of fact, I explain how you could get a good grade in math and still not be successful at it. What does it mean to be successful? And that's what this is all about in chapter 1. And I think that's very, very important to know. So if you have a successful student, you want them to be truly successful, and you also want to keep them successful. So then I talk about proper content that a successful student needs, and that really is discussed in quite a bit of depth then in chapter 7. And it depends on what your student's doing and what their aspirations are in math and where they're going to go. And I also then, of course, talk about spike pedagogy. In all the books, one of the key ingredients for successful math education is what I call spike pedagogy. And if you haven't read any of the other books, you want to read that chapter for sure. You also need, in order to deliver math properly, you need a teacher and you need a coach. And they don't have to be the same person. As a matter of fact, the teacher has to really know how to teach math and what to teach. The coach needs to do very different things. And very often now with homeschoolers, I'm the teacher with my program, the 6-tier program we have, and the parent or someone the parent designates locally is the coach. And I have 2 chapters on that, teacher and coach, and how to be a great coach. Now, another thing I have in this book that I think you find, I feel like stories are inspirational. And so back in the struggling student book, I told my story, because I was successful at math all the way through the 8th grade. I hit a brick wall in the 9th grade. I was unsuccessful. And that's where my story might have very well have ended, except I was saved by a couple of teachers. And I tell that story. And so I repeat that in this book. Chapter 6 is success to failure to success again. And I think that's very, very important, because even if you have a successful student, it's possible, if you don't teach them math properly and the right content with the right pedagogy, at some point they'll fail. And then how do you get them back to that? Of course, you don't want them to ever fail. And if you study what I explain in this book, then your student will be successful from that point forward in math. And so that's essentially what's in this book. It's a short book, as you can tell. All of my books are short. You can probably read this book in less than an hour. In fact, If you've read one of my other books, it'll be even quicker than that, because the only thing that'll be new for you will be chapter 1 and essentially chapter 6. 1 and 6 will be, but they're very important to have. And you might say, well, why do you put all this in one big book? Well, I wanted to break it out, because if somebody has a successful student, they don't necessarily want to read about struggling students. And I've got another book coming up I'll be talking about in another video for STEM students, in case your student wants to go into STEM. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop down the PDF. And I also want to point out to you now, as I do in all the videos, when you go to the goldenrulemath.com and study that, there is a special offer that we have at this point in time. We don't know how long it's going to be around. I hope for a long, long time, but it's a very special offer that you need to know about, whichever one of these books you've read. And what it amounts to in a nutshell is, because of modern technologies that I explain in these books, we can do something that couldn't be done even a year ago, not by us, and it's not been done by anyone else. And that is, we can deliver all of the post-elementary math education to your entire family, all of your students, for $9 a month, especially if, and that'll be if you help us then spread the word. It's $29 a month, and all you got to do is just take the training. But if you'll then actively help us spread the word and share the ideas with more people, we can actually bring it down to $9 a month. So it's sort of like what Netflix has done for movies, is get it to where you can have all the math education you need for your family, post-elementary math education for your entire family, starting with the most basic thing like how to use a scientific calculator, which is tier 1, all the way through calculus and even now differential equations. And by the way, that's all because of a brand new tool that I explain in depth in the book for STEM students. So if you have a student that you think might not only be successful, but might be interested in science and technology, you got to go read that book. And that's a book you can also download a free PDF of. And I'll have a video on that going along with that book. So this is Dr. Dell. I encourage you to read at least one of these books, and probably 2 of them, depends on what's appropriate for your students. And then try out our program, because it is, you can try it out, by the way, risk-free. You can actually try it and pay nothing for it if for any reason you don't like it. So it's totally risk-free. And then if it works for you, and by the way, it's working great for just so many students now, it's unbelievable, really. I mean, it's very inspirational to us. We've been able to use new technologies and do things that have never been done before that transform how math education is taught. It takes struggling students and makes them into successful students, and it takes successful students and it makes them remain successful. And then if they want to go to college, that we have for tier 3, that gets them ready for that. If they want to do STEM, that's a much deeper, then we have that. And you'll learn about that in the book for STEM students. So this is Craig Hain, or Dr. Dell, and I thank you very much for watching this video. And I hope that you will go to the website and at the very minimum, read the PDF of the book, go look at the special offer, and get yourself involved. And above all, the most important thing, for as far as I'm concerned, and for you, is to give your students, your children, the best possible math education that technology today will empower. I didn't say that money will buy, because it's really quite inexpensive, but that it's the best education that technology empowers. That's what you really need to do. And these books explain why and how that can happen. And you need to read them, I think, and it'll transform your life. And of course, if you go to my personal website that I tell you about in some of the other videos, you can contact me directly if you have any further questions or need to. So Dr. Dell, I'm wishing you to have a wonderful life with your children and teach them the optimal math. And if that happens, I'll see you on lots of other videos. Have a wonderful life. Bye-bye.